Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Funny MMA. This is going to be another UFC prediction for the upcoming fight night between Junior Dos Santos versus Blagoi Ivanov. I can't even pronounce it. Now, there's a couple fights on this card that are actually really good, but to save time, I'm only going to go over 3 of them. I'm going to start out with Chad Mendes versus Myles. Chad Mendes, dominant wrestler, huge power, not the biggest reach, not the biggest guy for his division, but he's still one of the perennial top contenders. He's been serving a suspension from USADA for 2 years. He looks to be in great shape. Obviously, he doesn't look as ripped, as lean as before. I mean, who knows if he was taking anything or not, but he looks to be in really good shape, but he has a very tough opponent ahead of him in Myles. Myles for 145 is absolutely huge. He has a big size advantage over Chad Mendes. He's also a very good wrestler. His striking's okay, but he has a big reach advantage on Chad Mendes. So Mendes' strategy to win this fight would be obviously to press forward, work the takedown, but more importantly, mix it up and make Myles worry about the takedown and then try and get on the inside and exchange punches with him. Mendes is really good at closing the distance, and he's used to fighting guys that are bigger than him, so he's good at trading in the pocket. His keys to victory here would be to tag Myles in the clinch, try to connect with an overhand right, kind of like Daniel Cormier did to Stipe Miocic, when they break the clinch and basically negate the size advantage. Myles basically just needs to work Mendes. He needs to use his weight to clinch Mendes, put him up against the cage, tire him out, and hope that the ring rust will affect his cardio. This fight's really tough. I mean, I'm rooting for Chad Mendes, but I think Myles is probably going to win by decision just because he's more active, he's a lot bigger, and he has proven cardio. Next up, we got Darren Elkins versus Alexander Volkanovski. Now, the reason that this is the second fight I did prediction on is because both of these guys are, in my opinion, the top 2 highest-ranked fighters on the card, besides the main event. Darren Elkins is just a workhorse. This guy's been around the UFC for years. He's one of those guys that is always the underdog in every fight, and he has lost some top contender fights, but right now he's actually on a 6-fight win streak. He's coming off 2 dominant wins over Michael Johnson and Dennis Bermudez, who are both top contenders. He's not the fastest guy, he's not the strongest guy, but he's tougher than pretty much everybody else in the division. This guy just eats punches, presses forward, he's a pressure fighter, loves to clinch, works for takedowns. He's wrestling-based, but his striking's okay, too. This guy can just take a shot and keep going. He has arguably the best cardio and work rate in the UFC. He's kind of like Colby Covington in a sense, the way he pushes forward every fight and basically negates fighters that are better at striking or wrestling than him just by sheer pressure and cardio. He's actually fighting a top prospect in Volkanovski. This guy's 17-1. He's Russian, so he's hard as fuck automatically. He's on a 3-fight win streak in the UFC. He hasn't really beat anybody of notability, but he's basically one of those guys that could be a dark horse in the division. He's well-rounded. He has a lot of finishes by KO. I haven't seen a lot of his fights, but basically they're giving him a super hard test right away in Darren Elkins. I mean, Darren Elkins is arguably top 5 right now. One more win and he can get a title shot. I don't know if they're trying to make Elkins lose to this guy or what they're doing. It's kind of a weird matchup, but I got Elkins by decision. This guy, Volkanovski, is too green. Okay, next we got Junior Dos Santos versus Blagoi Ivanov. It's really hard pronouncing that name. Junior Dos Santos, veteran of the sport. This guy was the former champ, former #1 contender. He used to have really fast striking, deadly KO power, super good takedown defense, cardio, and a hell of a chin. Ever since USADA, he's looked a lot more like a shell of his former self. He was in so many wars with Cain Velasquez. I think that just did a number on his body. And, obviously the testing too. He's slowed down a lot in recent years, but he's still very dangerous. He lost the last big fight he was in, he lost to Stipe Miocic. He also lost to Alistair Overeem, both times by brutal KO. So it's hard to gauge whether or not he can really take a shot as well as he used to, but Blagoi Ivanov is not much of a striker. I mean, he hits hard. Anybody does at heavyweight, but he's much more of a grappler. He's much more of a slower, non-power puncher. So I think Junior Dos Santos matches up really well with him because the guys that beat Junior are the guys that are either faster or pressure fighters that hit hard. So since this guy isn't a deadly striker, then Junior Dos Santos is going to be able to win the striking exchanges, prevent the takedowns, and TKO or decision this guy. Junior's also taken a year off since his last loss to Stipe Miocic. Blagoi Ivanov has been very active, though. This guy's put together a nice win streak. He was the World Series of Fighting champion. Like I said before, he has good grappling, good submissions. He's tough, but Junior Dos Santos, even past his prime at this point in his career is still heaps and bounds above Blagoi Ivanov. I feel like he's going to come out there, he's going to have a strong jab, he's going to stop the takedowns from Ivanov, and then as the rounds progress, he's just going to wear away at him and then eventually set up a TKO finish or decision. Comment below what predictions you guys have for the fights. Let me know. I'm curious what your thoughts are. Peace.